The silver ships appeared on a Tuesday morning. They hung in the sky above every major city on Earth, silent and unmoving. No warnings, no messages. Just their sudden presence that changed humanity forever. Captain Lisa Summers stood on the roof of the Pentagon, squinting up at the vessel that floated above Washington, D.C. Her hand rested on her sidearm out of habit, though she knew it would be useless against visitors who could cross the stars. "Captain, they're requesting a meeting," said Alan Wright, hurrying across the roof. His civilian clothes looked rumpled as if he'd been wearing them for days. As the world's leading expert in theoretical alien communication, the linguist had barely slept since the ships arrived. "Who exactly is they?" Lisa asked, not taking her eyes off the ship. "They call themselves the Virlani, part of something called the Galactic Confederation," Alan replied, his voice betraying his excitement despite the situation. 15 species working together, can you believe it? 3 days later, Lisa found herself inside a hastily prepared conference room at the United Nations, standing against the wall while diplomats and scientists sat around a large table. Her job was simple: observe and protect. The Joint Chiefs hadn't wanted military personnel at first contact, worried about sending the wrong message. But President Rivera had insisted on having at least one Marine present. The doors opened, and Lisa's hand twitched toward her weapon before she forced herself to relax. The aliens who entered looked almost human except for their height, nearly 7 feet tall, and skin that shifted colors slightly as they moved, like oil on water. Their eyes were larger than human eyes, entirely purple with no visible pupils. The lead alien bowed slightly. "I am Ambassador Zrelka of the Virlani Cooperative. We bring greetings from the Galactic Confederation." Lisa watched as the alien's eyes scanned the room, pausing briefly on her uniform before moving on as if she were merely part of the furniture. She'd seen that look before, the quick dismissal of someone deemed unimportant. The meeting lasted for hours. The aliens spoke perfect English, explaining they had studied human broadcasts for decades. They described their peaceful civilization spanning thousands of years without conflict, their advanced technology, and their desire to welcome humans into their interstellar community. "Your species has been classified as Category 3, Ambassador," Zrelka explained, projecting a holographic chart. "Intelligent but relatively harmless given your technological limitations and isolated position in an unremarkable section of the galaxy." Lisa noticed several human diplomats shift uncomfortably at the word harmless, but none challenged it. The allure of alien technology and knowledge was too great. After the meeting, Lisa approached Dr. Wright as he studied his notes. "What do you make of them?" she asked quietly. Alan looked up, eyes bright with excitement. "They're amazing. Their civilization solved poverty, disease, even aging. They haven't had a war in over 10,000 years." "That's what bothers me," Lisa said. "No conflict at all? That's not just unlikely, it's impossible. Every living thing competes for resources." Alan shrugged. "Maybe they evolved past it. Wouldn't that be something to aspire to?" In the weeks that followed, the Virlani established an embassy in Geneva and began sharing limited technology with Earth. Medical devices that could diagnose any illness, clean energy systems that made fossil fuels obsolete overnight, and agricultural methods that could end world hunger. Lisa was assigned as military liaison to the embassy, a position that increasingly felt symbolic. The aliens barely acknowledged her presence, speaking instead to the scientists and civilian leaders. When they did address her, their tone was indulgent, as if humoring a child playing soldier. During one reception, Lisa overheard Ambassador Zrelka speaking with the Secretary General. "Your military traditions are quite fascinating as historical artifacts," the alien said. "Most species outgrow such institutions as they advance. Some would argue they remain necessary for protection," the Secretary General replied diplomatically. "Fidi." Ambassador's skin flickered with colors that Lisa had come to recognize as amusement. Protection from what? The universe is largely a peaceful place, with only a few isolated aggressive species easily avoided. That night, Lisa sat in her quarters, reviewing security footage from the embassy. Something about the aliens' perfect facade bothered her. No species could be this peaceful, this evolved. Nature didn't work that way. Her phone rang. "Captain Summers," she answered. "Captain, this is General Nelson." The gruff voice was instantly recognizable. "I need you at the Pentagon tomorrow morning. 800 hours. We've detected another alien fleet approaching Earth's orbit. Not Virlani." Lisa felt a chill run down her spine. "Hostile?" "Unknown. But they're not responding to hails, and our Virlani friends suddenly seem very nervous. Don't tell them you're coming to see me." The next morning, Lisa slipped away from the embassy and arrived at the Pentagon before sunrise. General Frank Nelson was waiting in the Situation Room with the Joint Chiefs and several civilian analysts. "These new ships appeared at the edge of our solar system yesterday," Nelson said, pointing to grainy images on the screen. "They're moving faster than the Virlani vessels did on a direct course to Earth. Have we asked the Virlani about them?" Lisa asked. A civilian analyst spoke up. "That's the strange part. When we casually mentioned detecting unusual signals, their ambassador became agitated, said it was probably nothing to worry about." General Nelson's phone buzzed. He looked at it and his expression darkened. "The Virlani have just requested an emergency meeting with world leaders. They're saying the approaching ships belong to something called the HFY Coalition." 3 hours later, Lisa stood in the back of the United Nations chamber as ambassador. Zrelka addressed the assembly. For the first time, the aliens' perfect composure had slipped. "The HFY operate outside Confederation law," the ambassador explained, skin flashing with colors Lisa hadn't seen before. "They harvest resources from undeveloped worlds. They are difficult." "Are they dangerous?" the U.S. president asked directly. The ambassador hesitated. "They are efficient. They take what they need with minimal negotiation." "You mean they're invaders?" Lisa said loudly from her position against the wall. All eyes turned to her, including the ambassador's large purple ones. "That is a military perspective," Zrelka replied dismissively. "The Confederation handles such situations through diplomatic channels." "And if diplomacy fails?" Lisa pressed. The ambassador's skin settled into a solid blue tone. "It rarely does. But when faced with superior force, the wise path is always accommodation rather than futile resistance." As diplomats began arguing about next steps, Lisa felt her phone vibrate. A text from Dr. Wright. "Research outpost on Mars just went silent. All 23 personnel presumed dead. Satellite images show nothing left of the facility." Lisa looked up at the Virlani ambassador, who was now advocating for a measured response and peaceful negotiation. She caught the alien's eye and saw something she recognized immediately. Fear. "They're underestimating us," Lisa whispered to herself as chaos erupted around her. "And in my experience, that's never a good idea." The emergency meeting lasted through the night. As dawn broke over New York City, world leaders looked exhausted, but the Virlani ambassador Zrelka appeared as composed as ever, despite the occasional flicker of color across his skin. "The HFY vessels will reach Earth orbit within 48 hours, Zrelka said. "I cannot stress enough the importance of a calm, unified response." Captain Lisa Summers stood at the back of the room, watching. The destruction of the Mars outpost had been confirmed. Nothing remained but a smoking crater. 23 men and women gone in an instant. "What exactly do these HFY want?" demanded the Chinese premier. "Resources," Zrelka answered simply. "Water, minerals, certain rare elements. They are collectors, not colonizers." The Russian president leaned forward. "And if we refuse?" The ambassador's skin turned a deep blue. "Refusal is not recommended. The HFY have efficient extraction methods that do not require permission." Lisa couldn't stay silent any longer. "You mean they'll take what they want by force?" Zrelka turned those large purple eyes toward her. "Captain Summers, the HFY operate on a different moral framework. They see unused resources as wasted. They will leave your population centers intact if given access to what they require. Like they left our Mars outpost intact? Lisa challenged. The ambassador's skin rippled, with color. An unfortunate miscalculation. The scientists likely resisted. The room fell silent. Lisa felt rage building inside her chest, but kept her face neutral. Years of military discipline had taught her when to speak and when to observe. After the meeting, General Nelson pulled Lisa into a small office away from the alien delegates. "What do you think?" he asked without preamble. Lisa chose her words carefully. "The Virlani are scared of these HFY. They're hiding something." Nelson nodded. "My thoughts exactly. The President has authorized Operation Deterrent. Your team will deploy in 12 hours. Sir? We've been working on something using the technology the Virlani already shared with us. A stealth ship, small crew, minimal profile. I need your team to get close to the HFY fleet and gather intelligence on their weapons, defenses, and vulnerabilities." Lisa nodded, a plan already forming in her mind. "Who's on my team?" "Your pick. 4 personnel max. The ship is tight quarters." 6 hours later, Lisa met with her chosen team in an underground facility beneath the New Mexico desert. Sergeant Olivia Martinez checked her weapons with practiced efficiency. The weapons specialist had served with Lisa for 3 years and never missed a target. "So we're going to spy on some alien invaders," Olivia said. "Just another Tuesday." Corporal Joe Hawkins looked up from the tablet where he was reviewing the ship's systems. As their tactical systems expert, he'd already memorized everything about their experimental craft. "The stealth tech is reverse engineered from Virlani designs," he explained. "Should make us invisible to conventional sensors, but we don't know what the HFY use." Private Ryan Kelly was busy organizing his demolition equipment. The young Marine had a gift for making things explode in exactly the right way. "If things go bad, I can make a diversion," he said with a grin that didn't quite reach his eyes. The final member of the team, Samantha Green, was checking medical supplies. The combat medic had saved Lisa's life twice in previous operations. "Everyone, get your implants checked," Sam ordered. "If you're wounded out there, I need to know immediately." The ship was smaller than Lisa expected, sleek, black, and oddly shaped. Engineers in white coats swarmed around it, making final adjustments. "Captain Summers," a familiar voice called. Lisa turned to see Dr. Alan Wright hurrying toward her. "Doctor, what are you doing here?" "I convinced General Nelson you needed a xenolinguist," Alan said. "If you're going to gather intelligence, you'll need someone who can interpret their communications." Lisa frowned. "This is a military operation, Doctor. We can't guarantee your safety." "I've been studying the limited data we have on HFY language patterns," Alan insisted. "Trust me, you need me on this mission." Before Lisa could argue further, an alarm blared. A lieutenant rushed in, face pale. "Captain, the HFY fleet has accelerated. They'll reach Earth in 6 hours, not 48. "How is that possible?" Alan asked. "Unknown, sir. But there's more. They've started broadcasting. A message to Earth in English." A screen on the wall flickered to life. The creature that appeared made Lisa's skin crawl. It resembled a large reptile with rows of bony plates along its head and back. Its voice was deep and strangely accented. "People of Earth, we claim rights to all resources within your system. Resistance will result in cleansing. Submission will be rewarded with survival. You have 3 hours to remove your vessels from orbit and deactivate your defense systems." The screen went dark. For a moment, silence filled the room. "Well," Ryan said finally, "I guess negotiations are off the table." General Nelson entered the room, his face grim. "Captain, your mission parameters have changed. We need more than intelligence now. We need a way to hurt them. The President is drafting a response to buy time, but the Joint Chiefs want options on the table." Lisa nodded. "What about the Virlani? What do they say about this?" "They're advising immediate compliance," Nelson said with disgust. "Ambassador, Zrelka suggested we consider the HFY demands reasonable compared to total destruction." "Permission to speak freely, sir?" Lisa asked. Nelson nodded. "The Virlani have been lying to us from the start. They knew the HFY were coming. They've been preparing us to surrender, not to fight. My thoughts exactly, Nelson agreed. Which is why your mission is now critical. Launch in 30 minutes. Find a weakness we can exploit. As the team made final preparations, Lisa pulled Alan aside. Last chance to back out, Doctor. Alan looked at the ship, then at the screen where the HFY message had played. They destroyed our outpost without warning, and now they're threatening to cleanse Earth. I'm coming with you. Lisa nodded, respecting his courage. Then welcome aboard. Just remember, out there you follow my orders without question. As they boarded the experimental craft, Lisa felt a strange calm settle over her. Humanity had faced extinction-level threats before, plagues, world wars, climate disaster, and had survived. These HFY had no idea what they were walking into. Prepare for launch, she ordered as her team strapped in. Let's show these aliens what happens when you threaten our planet. The stealth ship cut through space silently, its black surface absorbing light rather than reflecting it. Inside, Captain Lisa Summers and her team watched the main view screen as the massive HFY fleet came into view. My God, whispered Alan, right staring at the alien vessels. Unlike the sleek silver ships of the Virlani, these were ugly, practical machines, jagged metal constructs bristling with what could only be weapons. Count 12 major vessels, Corporal Hawkins reported, studying his scanner. The big one in the center must be their command ship. It's nearly twice the size of the others. Lisa made her decision quickly. That's our target. Hawkins, can you get us close without being detected? The stealth tech should hold, he replied, though his voice lacked confidence. As long as they don't have sensors specifically designed to detect Virlani cloaking technology. That's reassuring, Sergeant Martinez muttered, checking her weapon for the third time. The next 30 minutes passed in tense silence as their small craft maneuvered closer to the enormous HFY command ship. Through the view screen, they could now see details of its construction. A patchwork of metal plates, some appearing to be salvaged from other vessels, all fused together into a fortress-like structure. I'm picking up communications, Alan said suddenly, his fingers flying over the translation matrix they developed from the HFY broadcast. They're discussing harvesting procedures for Earth's oceans. Lisa felt cold anger rising inside her. Specifics? Alan swallowed hard. They plan to extract approximately 60% of Earth's water. The process would destroy most coastal regions and alter the planet's climate permanently. What about the people? Asked Samantha, the medic. Alan continued listening, his face growing paler. They consider us livestock, to be relocated to processing facilities. The small craft went silent as the team processed this information. Captain, Hawkins interrupted, I've found what looks like a maintenance hatch on the underside of the command ship. It might be a way in. Lisa nodded. Take us in. Everyone gear up, full tactical, weapons hot. As the team prepared, Lisa pulled Alan aside. You're staying on the ship. The scientist shook his head firmly. I need to access their central computer systems to download tactical information. None of you can read their language. Lisa knew he was right, but she didn't like it. Stay behind. Us. If I give the order to retreat, you don't argue. Docking with the HFY ship proved easier than expected. Their security was minimal, a species used to encountering only submission, not resistance. They're overconfident, Martinez whispered as they cut through the final lock. Good for us. The interior of the HFY vessel smelled of sulfur and something organic that made Lisa's nose wrinkle. The corridors were tall and wide, designed for creatures larger than humans. The team moved silently, guided by Hawkins' scanner toward what appeared to be a central data hub. They encountered their first HFY turning a corner. The alien was even more intimidating in person, standing over 8 feet tall with thick leathery skin and powerful limbs. Before it could react, Martinez fired her weapon. The sound-suppressed shot hit the creature in the center of its face, dropping it instantly. Efficient, Lisa commented. Let's move before it's missed. They reached the data hub with only 2 more encounters, both ending with silent efficiency. Alan rushed to the central console, plugging in the translation device. I need 5 minutes, he whispered. You have 3, Lisa replied, positioning her team to defend the room's entrances. Martinez, watch the scientist. Kelly, Hawkins, cover the main door. Sam, with me on the secondary entrance. For 2 minutes, the only sound was Alan's fingers on the alien keyboard and the team's controlled breathing. Then an alarm blared, a deep pulsing sound that seemed to vibrate through the metal floor. We're blown, Hawkins said unnecessarily. Almost done, Alan called, his voice strained. The first Hezak burst through the main door, a weapon raised. Kelly fired, catching the alien in the shoulder. It roared, a sound that seemed to shake the room but didn't fall. Martinez's follow-up shot finished it, but more were coming. Time to go, Lisa shouted as the gunfire intensified. Right? 10 more seconds, Alan yelled back, his fingers never stopping. Private Kelly took a hit, some kind of energy weapon, that burned through his armor at the thigh. He screamed but kept firing. Samantha moved to help him, applying emergency medical spray even as she fired her sidearm one-handed. Got it, Alan finally shouted, unplugging his device. Fall back to the ship, Lisa ordered. Martinez, help Kelly. Sam, cover our 6. The retreat was chaos. More Hezak poured into the corridors, their roars mixing with the alarm and the sound of weapons fire. Kelly was hit again, this time in the chest. Samantha stabilized him, but he couldn't run. Leave me, he gasped as Martinez tried to drag him. I'll buy you time. Lisa made the hardest decision of her career. Give him your explosives. To Kelly, she said, Make it count, Marine. The young man nodded, understanding in his eyes. Yes, Captain, it's been an honor. They left him at a junction, his weapons and the team's explosives arranged around him. As they continued toward their ship, they heard a massive explosion and felt the deck shudder beneath their feet. He took out at least 20 of them, Hawkins said, grief and pride mixing in his voice. When they reached the maintenance hatch, they found 2 Hezak waiting. In the ensuing firefight, Samantha took a hit to her shoulder that spun her around. Lisa pulled her to safety while Martinez eliminated the threats. They reached their ship, but as Hawkins prepared for emergency departure, a new alarm sounded. They're locking down all external hatches, he reported, including the one we came through. We're trapped. Lisa looked at her wounded team, at the information they'd gathered at such cost. Information that could save Earth. Making a decision, she activated the ship's communication system. This is Captain Summers to Earth Defense Command. We have critical intelligence on Hezak vulnerabilities. Transmitting now. Alan looked up sharply. What are you doing? If we transmit, they'll detect our exact location. I know, Lisa said calmly, entering commands into the ship's system. Hawkins, how close are we to their antimatter drive? The tactical officer checked his scanner, then looked up with sudden understanding. Very close, Captain. Lisa nodded. Right, explain what happens if their containment field fails. Alan's face went white. The antimatter would contact normal matter. The resulting explosion would destroy this entire section of the ship, possibly cripple the whole vessel. Exactly, Lisa said. She opened a channel to Earth again. Defense Command, be advised. We're about to create a significant distraction. Have strike teams ready to hit the other Hezak ships when they move to assist their flagship. General Nelson's voice came back, cracking with static. Understood, Captain. But your team? We knew the risks, Lisa cut him off. Tell them, Private. Ryan Kelly died a hero. She looked at her remaining team members. Ready to make these aliens regret they ever came to our solar system? Martinez grinned fiercely. Born ready, Captain. Hawkins looked up from his console. I've plotted the fastest route to their drive containment. We'll need to move fast. Then let's move, Lisa ordered. Earth gets to live another day. 3 days after the explosion that rocked the Hezak command ship, Captain Lisa Summers opened her eyes in a military hospital. The ceiling above her was white and sterile. For a moment she thought she had died. Welcome back, Captain, said a familiar voice. Lisa turned her head slowly, fighting waves of pain. General Nelson sat beside her bed, looking tired but satisfied. My team? She asked, her voice rough. Sergeant Martinez and Dr. Wright made it out with minor injuries. Corporal Hawkins suffered severe burns, but he'll recover. Unfortunately, we lost Sam Green. She covered your escape after you were hit. Lisa closed her eyes, absorbing the loss. First Kelly, now Sam. She would mourn them properly later. The HFY? Nelson actually smiled. Your distraction worked better than we could have hoped. The explosion damaged their flagship's propulsion and weapon systems. While they were vulnerable, our forces hit them with everything we had. Everything we had, barely scratched their ships during the first attack, Lisa said, confused. True, but thanks to the data Dr. Wright recovered, we identified weaknesses in their shield modulation. The science team worked non-stop to adjust our weapons. We took out 3 of their major vessels before they retreated to the edge of the solar system. Lisa tried to sit up, wincing at the pain in her side. They'll be back. Yes, but we've bought time. And something else happened while you were unconscious. Nelson paused. The Galactic Confederation has called an emergency council. They want you to address them once you're able. Me? Why not the President or Secretary of State? They specifically asked for you. The Virlani ambassador said something about wanting to understand the human military perspective. Nelson's tone made his skepticism clear. 2 weeks later, Lisa stood before the Galactic Confederation Council. The meeting was held in a massive chamber aboard a Virlani vessel in Earth orbit. Representatives from 15 alien species sat in a semicircle, all watching her with expressions she couldn't read. Lisa still moved stiffly from her injuries. She had refused a wheelchair, standing straight in her formal marine dress uniform despite the pain. Dr. Alan Wright stood beside her, there to assist with any translation issues. Ambassador Zrelka spoke first. The Council has convened this special session to discuss the recent incident with the HFY coalition. We are particularly concerned with the methods employed by Earth forces. A blue-skinned alien with 4 arms leaned forward. You deployed nuclear weapons in space, it said, its translator rendering its clicks and whistles into English. You sacrificed your own personnel in suicide missions. You used deception and targeted civilian supply vessels. We did what was necessary to protect our people, Lisa replied evenly. But such tactics, said another alien, this one small and covered in what looked like golden fur. They violate all civilized conduct. Civilized conduct? Lisa couldn't keep the edge from her voice. The HFY planned to drain our oceans and process our population like livestock. The council members shifted uncomfortably. Zrelka's skin flickered with rapid color changes. The HFY are admittedly difficult, the Virlani ambassador said, but violence only creates more violence. This is a fundamental truth the Confederation has understood for millennia. Lisa looked around the chamber, at these peaceful aliens who had never known war, who had evolved without the constant struggle that shaped humanity. You keep using that word, violence, she said carefully, but I don't think you truly understand it. Throughout human history, we have developed the capacity for terrible destruction, but we've also developed rules to contain it. Rules for violence? A thin alien with crystalline features seemed confused by the concept. This seems contradictory, Lisa nodded to Alan, who activated a display showing images from human history, the Geneva Conventions, war crimes tribunals, peace treaties. We call them laws of war, Lisa explained. Lines that should not be crossed even in our darkest moments. Actions so horrible that we agree they cannot be permitted. You have words for forbidden violence? Zrelka asked slowly. We call them atrocities, Lisa said. The word hung in the air. Acts so terrible that even enemies can agree they are wrong. The council was silent, processing this concept that seemed entirely foreign to them. Throughout our history, Lisa continued, humans have committed horrible acts, genocide, torture, the targeting of children and the helpless. Each time, we've learned from these horrors and established new boundaries. She moved slowly to the center of the chamber, making eye contact with each council member. We know what we're capable of because we've done it before. We've seen the worst of ourselves, and we've created systems to try to prevent it from happening again. Not always successfully, but we try. Lisa gestured to the data they'd recovered from the HFY ship, now displayed on the large screen. The HFY planned to drain our oceans without concern for the billions who would die. They saw us as resources to be harvested. By your standards, that might just be difficult. By ours, it's an atrocity we will not allow. A tall, reed-thin alien with gray skin spoke for the first time. You evolved not despite your capacity for violence, but because of it, it said slowly. You had to create ethics precisely because you are dangerous. Yes, Lisa agreed simply. Zrelka's skin had settled into a deep blue. When we first classified humans, we noted your aggressive tendencies but dismissed them due to your technological limitations. This was an error in judgment. For the first time since the meeting began, Lisa smiled slightly. Ambassador, where I come from, being underestimated is sometimes an advantage. The council deliberated for hours after Lisa and Alan were dismissed. They waited in a small antechamber, watched by Virlani guards who seemed to view them with new wariness. What do you think they'll decide? Alan asked quietly. I don't know, Lisa replied. But they need to understand that humans won't surrender, no matter the odds. If the HFY return, we'll fight until there's nothing left to fight for. Finally, they were called back into the chamber. The council members looked solemn. Zrelka spoke for them all. The Galactic Confederation has existed for 12,000 years based on principles of peace and non-aggression. We have avoided conflicts like those in your history. The ambassador paused. But perhaps in doing so, we have become vulnerable to species like the HFY, who operate outside our moral framework. Another council member, the four-armed blue alien, continued. We have made a decision unprecedented in our history. We are offering Earth membership in the Confederation, with a special status. What kind of special status? Lisa asked cautiously. Your people understand violence in ways we do not, Zrelka explained. You have created ethical systems to contain it. We believe these skills may be necessary in a galaxy that includes predator species like the HFY. Alan leaned close to Lisa's ear. I think they're asking us to be their soldiers. Lisa looked at these peaceful beings who had never known war, who had dismissed humans as harmless until they witnessed what humanity could do when threatened. The HFY will return, she said, not just to Earth, but to other worlds. When they do, humans will stand ready. 3 months later, Earth became the newest member of the Galactic Confederation. The ceremony took place in the Great Hall of the United Nations building in New York. Representatives from all 15 alien species stood alongside Earth's leaders. As the formal agreement was signed, Major Lisa Summers, recently promoted for her actions against the HFY, watched from the side of the stage. She still needed a cane to walk, and doctors weren't sure if she would ever regain full mobility. In her left leg, the physical pain was manageable. The loss of 2 team members was harder to bear. As the ceremony concluded, Ambassador Zrelka approached her. The Virlani's skin shifted in patterns that Lisa had learned indicated respect. Major Summers, the council asked me to personally thank you again. Lisa nodded stiffly. I'm just glad Earth has found allies, Ambassador. More than allies, Zrelka said. The Confederation has created a new classification for your species. You are now designated as a guardian species. What exactly does that mean? It means that while other members contribute technology, art, or science to our community, Earth will help provide something we have lacked, protection against threats like the HFY. Dr. Alan Wright joined them, looking much more comfortable in formal diplomatic settings than he had 3 months ago. We're going to help train defensive forces from other worlds, he explained, teach them how to protect themselves. And in return, Lisa asked, Earth gains access to all Confederation technology and knowledge, Zrelka answered, including faster-than-light travel and medical advances that could extend human lifespans by centuries. Lisa watched as Earth's president shook hands with alien dignitaries. Just 6 months ago, humanity had been alone in the universe. Now they were part of an interstellar community. The transition hadn't been easy, and it wasn't over. I misjudged your species, Zrelka admitted quietly. We thought peace came from the absence of violence. You taught us it comes from understanding violence and choosing against it. Later that evening, at the reception, Lisa found herself standing next to General Nelson as they watched humans and aliens attempting to mingle despite vast cultural differences. How does it feel to go down in history as the human who changed how the galaxy sees us? Nelson asked. Lisa shook her head. I was just doing my job, sir. Well, your new job starts next week, Nelson said. The Joint Chiefs have approved your appointment as commander of the 1st Human Alien Defense Force. You'll be working with volunteer officers from 5 Confederation species. Are any of them actual warriors? Lisa asked. Not by our standards. You'll be starting from scratch, teaching them the basics. Lisa sighed. This should be interesting. 1 year later, Lisa stood on the bridge of the Defender, Earth's first joint Confederation vessel. The ship combined human military design with alien technology. Around her, a crew of both humans and aliens worked at their stations. Sergeant Martinez served as her second in command. Corporal Hawkins, still bearing burn scars on his face, ran the tactical systems. Long-range sensors are picking up multiple vessels entering the system, Major, reported Krell, a Verlani officer who had become one of Lisa's most promising students. Identification? Lisa asked calmly. HFY energy signatures, Hawkins confirmed. Bigger fleet than last time. Looks like they brought reinforcements. Lisa wasn't surprised. The HFY wouldn't take their previous defeat lightly. They had likely expected to return to a system defended only by the traditionally passive Confederation. All hands to battle. Stations, she ordered. Deploy defense screen. Alert Earth Command and Confederation Council. Ambassador Zrelka, now serving as the Confederation liaison on the Defender, approached Lisa. The HFY are broadcasting a message to all planets in the system. On the main screen, a large reptilian face appeared, scarred and fierce. People of Earth and Confederation allies. Your previous resistance was unexpected but futile. We have returned with sufficient force to claim all resources in this system. Surrender now or face extinction. The bridge crew looked to Lisa. The alien members showed signs of fear. Their species had never faced threats like this before. The humans appeared grim but determined. Should I prepare a response, Major? Asked the communications officer. Lisa nodded. Put me through. When the channel opened, she spoke clearly and calmly. This is Major Lisa Summers of the Confederation Defense Force. Your previous visit to our system ended poorly for your fleet. This one will be worse. She signaled to cut the transmission. Was that wise, Major? Zrelka asked quietly. They outnumber us significantly. They still don't understand what they're facing, Lisa replied. They think we fight because we enjoy violence. But we fight precisely because we know its cost. She turned to her mixed crew of humans and aliens. Many of the aliens had been skeptical of human military methods at first. Some had been horrified by humanity's capacity for violence, but over the past year they had come to understand the difference between those who fought because they loved destruction and those who fought to prevent it. Battle Plan Theta, Lisa ordered. Defensive positions around Earth and Mars. Sergeant Martinez, deploy our new fighters. Corporal Hawkins, target their lead vessels with our improved weapons. As her orders were carried out with precision, Lisa felt a strange sense of pride. The Confederation had existed for thousands of years, but it had never truly been tested. The peaceful species had avoided conflict at all costs, even when it meant allowing predatory species like the HFY to victimize others. Now, for the first time, aggression would be met not with submission, but with calculated, principled resistance, a new doctrine that would forever change interstellar relations. Lisa moved to the tactical display, leaning on her cane as she studied the approaching enemy fleet. Beside her, human and alien officers worked together, each bringing their unique strengths to the coming battle. All ships in position, Major, Martinez reported. Earth defense grid online. Confederation reinforcements arriving from Alpha Centauri. Lisa nodded, her expression determined. Remember our oath. We protect. We defend. We do not seek to destroy, only to prevent destruction. She looked at each crew member in turn. But make no mistake, anyone who threatens innocent lives will learn exactly why humans were named Guardians of the Confederation. As the enemy fleet approached, Lisa thought of Ryan Kelly and Samantha Green, who had given their lives in the first contact with the Hezak. Their sacrifice had helped forge this new alliance, this new understanding between species. Weapons locked. On target, Hawkins announced. Ready on your command. Lisa straightened to her full height, ignoring the pain in her leg. For Earth, for the Confederation, for peace. Fire. The Defenders' weapons blazed to life, striking the first blow in a battle that would shape the future of galactic relations. Humanity had taught the stars that true peace came not from avoiding conflict, but from standing firmly against those who would destroy it.